What if you could tap into the same AI and marketing strategies used by Google and Amazon and some of the most innovative entrepreneurs in the world? In this episode, I'm joined by Roberto Martinez, CEO of Braven Agency, AI specialist and California's Google digital coach, who has helped over 500 businesses grow and scale. From launching programs that rescue small businesses during the pandemic to training Fortune 500 companies in cutting-edge AI tools, Roberto has a front row seat in the future of business growth. We deep dive into how AI is transforming marketing, why brand humanization is more important than ever, and the real-world tactics that small businesses can use right now to compete on the global stage. Whether you're starting out or already running a successful business, Roberto's insights will challenge your thinking and give you a playbook about scaling smarter. Stay tuned, and this conversation will change the way you think about running your business forever. So obviously AI is a massive topic in any business that we're going to talk about, but I'm really going to be fascinated about how you're actually impacting, and I love that idea of what Google and people like Google and Amazon are doing and how you're able to help them. So thank you very much for joining me.
No, extremely excited to be talking to you and to your community of entrepreneurs who are here to grow and scale using technology.
Amazing. We're going to first start about your personal journey. So you've gone from working in the Canadian Foreign Service and the US State Department to be running your own digital marketing and AI company. What's the through line in
Yeah.
that career and what connects all those different chapters?
Yeah, it's quite a U-turn, right? Working in government and then realizing that's not the right approach to help out your community. It's very straightforward. At the end of the day, it's about helping the folks that you're part of, helping the community. Thought government will be the best way, and I soon realized while it's idealistic as a youth, as you grow up, you realize the real way to help is to be an entrepreneur, to find solutions in the marketplace, and then provide the solutions to your fellow man, your community, your city, your county, your state, and the best way possible. But the real journey became when I was in Argentina and I was talking to the foreign minister of Argentina at the time, and they were going through debt restructuring. I won't bore you with that, but he really said, he wanted, it's the economy, stupid, and you got to go back, get your MBA, learn how to help businesses thrive. So I took him on his word, came back after a few years and got my MBA, and the rest is history.
So I agree. Before I had a career in corporate, I started in government as well. And not that many people in my audience actually know this, but spent about 3 or 4 years working in a few different departments. And although the work was very enriching, it was interesting. I worked in some really crappy places as well, but the good places, there was you felt you were doing a lot of value. But I came round to the same conclusion as you because the inefficiencies of business, the inefficiencies of government really make it a difficult place to be able to innovate or be able to make a true difference without taking several years to make a decision. Did you find that similar experience as well?
I mean, Mark, you nailed it on the head. It's so slow to move. There's a lot of overhead. They're not responding to the market in a timely fashion. They're not taking the risks that we as entrepreneurs have naturally been born to tolerate. It's our risk tolerance that makes entrepreneurs very unique type of human being who see a need in the marketplace, are willing to put their own name, money, and energy on the line to show that, hey, there's a market fit here. I'm willing to go after that. A government does not tend to work that way and does not reward innovation, does not reward risk. And so there's just two different animals that we're talking about here. And I think while you do a lot of good for the common man in government and you can find that, it's just very slow. And I think for us, we got one life to live. We got to go after it and we have to drive that impact within the first quarter, if not faster.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Right, I want to tap in this claim of working with over 500 businesses as the Californians Google digital coach. How do you feel like what impact are you having? Explain to me how you're helping these companies be able to upskill when it comes to technology in other areas.
I can't take the credit. It's 100% Google realizing that they just can't be a flyover company and drop entrepreneur employees in a different city, a different state, a different country, but they have to homegrown the talent. And so this program was really focused on finding local entrepreneurs within the state, within the city that understand the community there, but also understands the solutions that Google provides to help scale businesses. So it's marrying between, hey, we're a corporate entity, but we're going to hire from your community because that individual or that person, that entrepreneur knows better how to present this information, how to present these tools that Google provides. That was 9 years ago. And so the program started 9 years ago to really help ground the technology within the small business community, folks who might have been left back because of the digital divide or have a slope adoption a phase, might be brick and mortar, and need to leverage these tools. The best part is it's completely free. And so our job as Google coaches is to really help the entrepreneur demystify the technologies that Google provides. It'd be Google paid ads, Google Analytics, Google Business, and now generative AI, Google Gemini, and bring that in a way that allows them to take action immediately to see some results. Best part about digital marketing and just technology is that you could drive almost a direct line between your actions and the results of those actions by capturing all the data that's coming in.
So, what data is it for small businesses that are making the biggest impact? I've got a community of business owners that are listening here. What for you is that the data points that would really transform a small business?
Yeah, technology is just a tool like any other tool. It's understanding how to use that tool. We get a hammer and we build a house, right? So why, what's the why? I always try to go back to the entrepreneur and really make it as easy as possible to understand the tools that you're using. So what's the problem statement? What's the pain point? Where does it hurt? And so understanding where it hurts for the entrepreneur, what are we trying to solve for? I feel that's really what we as entrepreneurs really got a good nose for, is understanding, hey, this is where we think there's a need, this is where we think something's broken, or this is where we think we can improve on. And then we use technology to solve that problem. When it comes to digital tools, when it comes to technology, the name of the game is to open as many channels or as many opportunities for your prospective customer to reach you, assuming that you have a viable product, your value proposition is very strong and it has a strong fit. Then it's okay, let's get make sure as many folks know about us as possible. Tools like a Google business profile will allow us to receive information when the customer is looking for us on search, the search engine. Tools like a Google Analytics tool allows us to understand where the traffic's coming from. If it's coming from the city, the state, the county, a foreign market, if we're an international company and we're selling in different markets, we understand where that traffic is coming from and what they're doing when they land on our website. When people ask, well, what's the need of a website? It's a storefront. It's your storefront. We want to know what customers do when they land and they walk into your store. Are they looking at the window dressing? Are they perusing certain lanes, shirts, pants, whatever it happens to be? We want to know what they're doing so that we know how to position our products the best to drive that sale. So most entrepreneurs, when they get started, they get, oh, that makes a lot of sense. So when I walk into the store, that's my website, and the very home page is the window dressing. They see that, they take an action. That's what we want them to do. How do I make my homepage as enticing? How do I have strong calls to action? How do I talk to my customer in a way that makes sense? If they sign up for their emails, how do we keep nurturing that customer along with information that gets them to say yes? So once it clicks for them, they're like, oh, I understand why we need email marketing, why we need paid ads, why we need SEO, why we need content marketing, video content, and then they're off to the races.
Yeah, absolutely. So I often on my show I get entrepreneurs on here who say that they had the lemonade stand, they were selling things like trading cards. And to be
Yeah.
honest, I often say, look, I think entrepreneurship, it can be innate, but often it can be learned as well. And I went on a journey of personal development as well as business and entrepreneurship development. And that's when I left my corporate job and went into entrepreneurship. Do you think you've learnt it as you've gone along, or were you with the lemonade stand trading cards when you were a kid as well?
That's an interesting point, Mark, about the corporation piece. I think there's entrepreneurs, right? There's those folks who in the corporation
Yeah.
are trying to find innovative ways to either operationalize efficiencies or find a new market fit within the solution of the corporation. And then they realize, hey, I could do this and I don't need to work for a corporation. I could set up my own company. There's those folks, but not that entrepreneurship is only, there's a gene out there, but I do feel that certain folks just see the world differently. I did start very early on in my college days and even in high school days, not with a lemonade stand, but with events. I put together a lot of events. And so that really got me understanding like how do you drive awareness? And then when I started realizing, okay, how do we sell certain products to customers? It was the advent of e-commerce, and we started playing with e-commerce and trying to sell with e-commerce. And really, it's just thinking, how do I run this, whatever it is, more efficiently, more effectively? And so that's really what started. But you can also, I think, in corporate space, get that aha moment and realize, hey, I think there's a niche here. The other thing is your passion. I think once you marry your passion with business, it makes it really easy for you to grow and scale. I think if you're passionate about something and you're spending an absorbent amount of hours because you're so consumed by it and so in love with it, you're a pretty good fit for an entrepreneur. I think the one thing you absolutely have to have is a high risk tolerance. I think we're naturally predisposed to be risk averse as a species. And those folks who are entrepreneurs are willing to take more risk. And so you have to have a little bit higher risk tolerance because you are putting your time and your money on the line to make sure your business thrives.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we should be supported more in government,
Oh,
and because it is the bedrock of most countries in the Western world that entrepreneurs and business owners are key for them. Why do you think they're not embraced and they're not loved and they're not supported in the way that they probably should be?
hey, Mark, you and I both. I think you're knocking on an open door here. Silicon Valley wasn't built overnight. It was highly
Yeah.
invested, government funded, defense funded, the defense industry funded heavily. And it was through these Silicon Valley contracts that these companies were able to grow and expand and pretty much mint millionaires who took that money and reinvested it because they saw value. And so that is an important piece that a lot of entrepreneurs sometimes miss. It's infrastructure that needs to be built out by the government through taxpayer dollars. Most of it is done through the military uh, gaze of like national security, but I think we need to move beyond that. What you're seeing right now with AI is the same challenge. Now we have VCs that are taking the place of government, but I think there's still a role in government in the form of grants. I think there's going to be a huge, and this is not my opinion, this is just what folks who are brighter and smarter and been in the industry within AI are saying. Disrupted within our workforce, the white collar workforce is going to go the way of the dinosaur in the next 5 years. And so we as citizens of our country need to start the alarm bell and retraining our workforce for the new technologies, the new solutions that are going to be needed for that new workforce because it is scary when big corporate Fortune 100, Fortune 50 companies are laying off 20, 30, 40% of their workforce because AI is coming in and automating some of those works and some of those workflows and those jobs.
So So are white collar jobs under threat? I'm reading in the papers, I hear from some people that especially entry level jobs are going to be automated, going to be AI driven
Mhm.
rather than spending a number of years learning and embedding into a company. what is what is the opportunity as well as the fear for people, because people are fearful, but we've got to look at it as an opportunity as well. What is the areas that people should be fearful of, and what are the opportunities for other people?
So anything that's repetitive is gain for AI. Anything that can be a repetitive workflow. So the way you want to think through it is on the operational lens, when you identify a workflow that can be automated, that's fertile ground for AI to replace whoever it is. So it's tough from our perspective. From my perspective, I can only speak for myself, not any company that I represent or I work for. The
Sure,
companies
of
that
course.
the work that will is to replace is at this moment there's not a marriage between robotics and AI, and so there's still a niche there. And so trade school is a great way to go if you're thinking about it until robotics catches up to the AI tools. But I think something like that, I think the trade industries are a strong space. I also found that it's really hard to hire right now, to find jobs right now for software developers, but data analysts, data engineers that are interpreting that data in a way that what we call human in the loop. We still need interpretation of that data, and we still need a human to process that information and tell the AI what to do. That's still a very viable work niche as we improve the AI, and that's going to be a nice little runway of maybe 10 years before that becomes fully automated. So my perception is that we're breathing through a straw and the water's rising, but the verdict is still out on how long it's going to take. If it's going to take 2 years, 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah. And I was speaking to someone recently who was saying that your plumbers, your electricians, and your builders are probably the most secure jobs at the moment because robotics is so far behind the AI.
Yeah, yeah, no. There was just a very famous podcaster that interviewed a former Google employee, and that's what he said. He was a Nobel laureate, and he said, be a plumber, which is funny. It's an interesting notion. I think we have a little bit more runway than that. I think assuming you're not born today, you should be able to land on your feet if you're able to transition and understand how to leverage these AI tools. And there's another reality that right now we're minting more billionaires than ever before because of these AI tools and solutions are coming in online in the workplace and in the market. One of the things that we did as an agency, we realized a lot of these tools are going to be automated, especially on the creative side. And so we had to understand where our niche is, and we created a solution that allows us to create a solution for businesses through AI, but also had a human in the loop, a marketer, office manager, a operational director, a financial advisor, so that the AI tool and this specialist can communicate with each other and provide very useful information for those businesses. And so understanding your niche and understanding what you can let go of and what you need to reinvest in is important for entrepreneurs.
Yeah. So Braven Agency emphasizes humanizing brands.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean in practical terms?
What we're doing right now, Mark, you're hitting so many great points when it comes to understanding entrepreneurs, understanding AI. It's really deleveraging technology and going back to the human element. Now more than ever, we want to connect with humans. AI dehumanize the process. And I think what you're seeing, especially on the content side, on the video production side, is more authentic experiences and relationships. And I think that's what we're going to start seeing authenticity. Your voice as an entrepreneur, your voice as a company, as a brand needs to shine through, and it can't be cookie cutter and it can't be repetitive and lacking some type of spirit. The good news is most entrepreneurs have this in spades. They started their company because they have a mission or they're very passionate. We need to resonate, we need to show and communicate that out through our social media, through our content, through our videos, through our images, through whatever channels we can. And I think human beings will connect to that. Your customer base will connect to that. And that's what the agency really strives for. It's okay, we understand that you want to use the technology, but let's make sure your voice is not lost in that technology.
Yeah, and this is why I continue doing podcasts because I think there is a thirst and a want for human interaction. Although we're doing this online in other parts of the world, I think people are going to be, especially with other, like I've seen like films that have been just completely created by AI, and I've got AI agents who are like doing posts and things like that. But I think people still will want that human interaction, that human connection that that they're not getting from other, whether it's media or from other places. And so I think it's going to be even more important that things like podcasts, actual conversations with people are going to be more desirable and more wanted.
Yeah, no, I think I love that piece. I think I was listening to one of my favorite thought leaders in the space, and he was saying that we're all running on scripts. We're all large language models, and we tend to forget that uh, we strive as humans for authentic experiences. And when you meet someone, you go through a script. Hey, how's your day doing? Great. How's your day? Great. And then you move on. And breaking that script, breaking those scripts that you have internalized and saying, no, I want to create an authentic experience with this individual. I want to know what he's about or what she's about. I want to connect with them on a human level. It's what's going to separate the entrepreneurs nowadays. I think that's extremely important. And Mark, I think you nailed it. Podcast is one vehicle to do that. I think the more creative type are going to realize different ways to create that authentic experience. And you're already seeing that with third party uh, media plays diving into these authentic experiences. The streaming industry has exploded as a result of that. But
Yeah.
we need to break those scripts and we need to move away and create more authentic experiences as entrepreneurs and be able to speak from a place of authenticity so that folks might want to trust us. And that's really what it comes down to as an entrepreneur. You have to build that trust. And the more touch points you have, the more opportunities that you have to have that customer trust you when you're saying, I promise to you as a business owner, I will take care of XYZ or I will provide XYZ.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've built campaigns for small businesses and global brands. How do you change the approach when you're dealing with enterprise companies as well as the smaller business?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. From the smaller side, I always start from the list of the small business owner just because that's where we decided to move as an agency. 20 plus years ago, we worked at a bigger agency primarily focused on large accounts, the Fortune 500 of the world. That's your typical blueprint for any company, any agency. And we just didn't feel that was a good fit, especially I went through a lot of traumatizing events during that phase of my life where my best friend ended up getting diagnosed and passing away due to cancer. And then a year and a half later,
Oh,
my other close friend, childhood friend, college friend passed away. And then 1 year later, my mom ended up getting diagnosed with cancer as well. So these type of real life experiences hone in and help you focus on what really matters. And I realized a corporate might not need me, a mom and pop like my mom, who was an entrepreneur, my dad, that was an entrepreneur, my aunts and uncles who are entrepreneurs, they might need someone that understands technology, understands marketing. And so that's where I focus my energy. And people had lost their mind. My mentors were like, what are you doing? Don't go that route. Like you could charge 1,000 quid with a corporate versus 100, and you're not going to survive. But I think I was driven by a mission of helping out my small business entrepreneur, and it's a field of dreams. You build it, they come. And sure enough, what we realized is if we stand tall on our mission and our purpose, other folks will want to align with our mission and purpose. And soon we had Google work with us and say, hey, we want you to be our coach. And then after that, we had the city of LA come to us and ask us to create a program during the pandemic. And then Amazon, and we're working with TikTok this year. Very excited for that work. And so we have T-Mobile, we have Aflac. So as you build that capacity, what ends up happening is folks identify you as the subject matter expert in that specific segment or space. And then the bigger corporations come to you and say, hey, you seem to have market validation within this segment. We want to work with you. And so that's the difference. But then when the market validation, you get a little bit differently with a corporate entity, with a larger corporation, just because their system is different, the type of go-to-market is different, they're more sophisticated, there's less hand holding, they have more headcount, and so that piece makes it a little bit easier to run. You just have to have more compliance in line. And but
yeah.
it's still the same thing. What's really interesting is that they also want to humanize their voice. They don't want to be seen as the big player that doesn't care about the consumer or the customer. And so we work very diligently to bring that authenticity to those other Fortune 500 companies and make sure that they could speak from a place of authenticity. And the way we do that with AI is that we create tools, specifically reporting tools and business assessments that have features of that corporation so that when they leverage the AI, it still has the customer in mind. Rocket science, right? Keep the customer in mind, but some businesses get so big they sometimes forget.
Can I just say I'm sorry for your loss with your friends and your mother? I also went through multiple bereavements in my family, so I know we'd moved on, but I just wanted to just say my heart goes out for you. I've experienced similar thing.
I thank you for that, Mark. And my mom is still kicking. She's still resilient. She's 70. She beat it twice already. She's an amazing
Amazing.
woman.
Amazing. Can you walk me through an example of how you've helped a small business with AI and how it's able to really transform their business?
Love to. So we do this assessment, this AI assessment, when they fill out 5 to 8 questions, and then we use, you could think of like a Gemini or a ChatGPT to make a quick assessment of their capabilities and their gaps and their opportunity. We call opportunity gaps. And then we take that and we match it with a marketer and an operational specialist, and then they review the report and they fine tune it to that specific industry, that specific sector, and then we tell the business, hey, would you like to execute on this report, on this assessment that we've given you? And we've seen great success. When I see great success, the bell curve, as anything else, exists within our solution set, but 15% increase in revenue and or leads, depending if you're a product or a service. We have outliers that receive 3,000% increase in revenue. We had a specific, I love Korean barbecue. I'm a fatty, not a foodie. I love food. And this Korean barbecue place, after we did the assessment, we optimized its website with AI recommendations. We created strong SEO, and their website traffic increased by 3,000%. And after six
Wow.
months, they called us up and said, "Hey, you need to turn off that website. We're getting so much business. It doesn't make sense for us. We can't handle the lead." Those are the things that keep you going when you have a tough week or a tough month, and you remember, "Hey, I am helping businesses out. I am helping folks who that business is a family-owned business." You start realizing there it's more than just about making money. It's about helping out those folks that can be like your mom, can be like your dad, can be like your aunt.
Yeah. So many small businesses are struggling with the pace of the digital
Mm,
change that is
mhm.
happening. What are those initial conversations like when you're having with these smaller companies? Because they're just like, we're completely overwhelmed. I've put a couple of prompts in ChatGPT and
Yeah.
I don't know what it's telling me. So how are you helping these guys? Because some of these guys, as you say, the mom and pop shows that are just not really sure where to approach it.
Yeah.
Like, how do you help with that overwhelm?
No, I always try to see it from their lens. And I remember when I was in uni and like undergrad, graduate, and like postgraduate certifications, and I had a really great mentor that told me, "How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time." I'll never forget that. Like, how do
Yeah.
you eat an elephant? You just start. So, but it's not tactful and it's not useful to talk like that. It's just a funny story for me that really resonates the importance of getting started. We just have to get started. But when it comes to an entrepreneur, I always tell them, or a mom and pop shop, you can't be afraid of technology or you can't be afraid of AI. You're not in competition with AI. You're not in competition with these technologies that are coming out. You're in competition with businesses who are leveraging and using the technology. So I think that really galvanizes them. They're like, oh, okay, so it's not like I'm fighting against a AI tool, but another business that's in direct competition is leveraging that. And so then you get their competitive nature coming in. Anyone who's an entrepreneur has competitive nature. They're staking their claim. They're saying, I want to fight in this marketplace. I believe my value to this community is worth in money and in time. And so you nudge them along on that competitive nature of theirs that's infused, and then they're like, okay, that makes sense for me. Where should I start? And then you're like, what's your pain point? Where do we start? Where did it hurt? What do you want to improve? And so you either identify where one of my therapist friends would say, you have to know what you're running away from, but you also know you have to know what you're running towards. And so that's like the pain point versus like
Yeah.
where does it hurt versus what I want to achieve. And so once they get into that problem statement mentality of understanding, okay, these are the five problems, or this is the five solutions that I want to tackle. Great, let's turn it around and let's work with an AI tool to get you there a little bit faster and more efficiently. And then their confidence builds. And so you do small wins and you celebrate those small wins, and then they get a big win. It might be like a six-figure contract or half a seven-figure contract, and then they get excited, and then they become the evangelist that could come back and speak for the rest of the community, telling them this is how we start. The important part is to get started. So those roadmaps and those like little wins really add up and really get them going once they start realizing, oh, this is the same thing as anything else. I just need to get started. Let me just understand what I'm solving for.
But it's a tool, like all of technology throughout all of human history, from the wheel to AI.
Yeah.
They are tools for us to be able to use. And I think a lot of small businesses sometimes are fearful of that, and breaking down that sort of fear. And I give those examples of it is another tool
Yeah.
that we can use. It just makes us more efficient. It makes us a better business people, or better ways of creating content, or ways of being able to do it. It is hard though. I'd like people that I know are fearful of it, and they are, some people are not open to it. So I think you're doing an amazing job of being able to give people the tools that they need to be able to take that first step forward. And it's hard. I think it is hard for them.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. What's really funny from my perspective is that we definitely work with videographers and content creators. And just last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we were paying 10, 15, 20, $30,000 for these video creations. And now we have a associate less than a year, maybe 6 months of playing with the tool. And his videos competes against these other videos that are we were spending thousands of dollars on. And so and that's just because it's literally because of AI. And
Yeah.
that was a really eye-opening experience for me when I realized I'm not going to be spending good money hoping that the world doesn't change. It's changing. And maybe I don't need that heavy investment. Maybe I just need a couple thousand to get started. And the important part is to get started. But in video, CapCut, Canva, like it's all
Yeah.
already incorporating these amazing tools, especially on the creative video content creation side. It's just amazing. It takes the guessing game out. And if my aunts and uncles are a little bit older, they love TikTok. And you'll be surprised when I show them how easy it is to make a TikTok video using these AI tools. And they're like, all I have to do is, yeah, I'm like, that's it. And they'll take their pictures and they start playing with CapCut. And then their eyes pop and they're like, that was it. I thought it took hours. I'm like, no, it took you 10 minutes, 15 minutes. That's how quick you could do a video.
It's really interesting
Yeah.
you mentioned about CapCut. I introduced CapCut to my 9 and 11-year-old
Ah,
about a year ago. So then suddenly their minds were completely
yeah.
blown by this. Look, we
Yes.
don't let them release stuff on TikTok or anything, which they do want to do, but just being able to like package their photos together and underlaying some music and things like this, it was an absolute game changer for them. So it happens both ends. The young and the
Yeah.
old can use this technology incredibly.
Yeah, I love the young. I love their ability to be malleable and really, I think we've adopted to the technologies, but they were born in the technologies. They're the fish in the water. They don't even know they're in the
Yeah.
water. They're just in the water. What's wet? There's something unique there. And I think our generation experienced life before the internet and after the internet. And I'm dating myself here, but it takes time. It
Oh,
takes
me
time
too.
for us to adapt. But these kids are just like ninjas. I don't know. I don't know. They're coming for our jobs for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. My kid's not for another 10 plus years, so we're all right so far on content creation. How have strategic partnerships played an important role in Braven?
No one gets here alone. I think we're literally created because of our strategic partnerships. I think that was the big one for us. Our real breakthrough was when I was in Stanford. I was doing the leadership program there. This is postgraduate business school. I was starting a new business, which just happened to be Braven Agency. And there was a Googler in the audience that heard my mission of helping small business. And then she said, hey, I want to work with you. I think your mission is something that we can leverage here at Google. And we have a new program called Google, the Grow with Google program. Love for you to be part of it. The city of LA, this amazing director at the time for small business, realized the importance of getting businesses online. And then she reached out to me and said, "Hey, we want to partner with you. How do we create a program that helps entrepreneurs get online?" At the time, less than 60% of businesses had a website. And so we tackled that problem on together as a community. And it's the partnerships are what's going to grow you and scale you. Ended up working with her, and then soon after you meet another partner through those relationships. So no good deed goes unpunished, and I just think those strategic partnerships are the ones that help you take those large leaps. You do the day-to-day stuff to keep the lights on, until you get the opportunity to take that larger risk and a larger investment to win bigger. I take it you it's not that it's gambling, but I definitely see sometimes you just have to hold the chips and stay in the game long enough until your opportunity comes, and then you have to take the risk and bet a little bit more than you typically do. And those partnerships provide those opportunities to have a disproportionate effect on businesses.
Yeah,
Is
absolutely.
the only way you could go. There's no 1 to 100. You could have a disproportionate win. You could go viral, and you could grow extremely rapidly with those partnerships if you know how to invest and take that risk in a way that's manageable, because growth can also kill you.
Yes, yes. So let's talk about that. How do you measure your success beyond just revenue? Because I feel you've talked about community a number of times, and your city and your state. And how do you measure success?
I thought I would feel differently when I hit a certain number in my mind for the company. I thought there was going to be balloons falling. And at the end of the day, it didn't mean much. You know what meant much is when you have your team members, your colleagues, maybe spending it some extra hours that they don't have to, you don't tell them to do that, or building culture within your company. You start seeing the culture where they're willing to take the extra step for the client, take the extra step for the event that we're putting together. So that's a clear sign for me that, hey, the company is going in the right direction. Folks want to work here. They like what they're doing. They feel like their life matters and the impact that they're driving. That was a big one for me. And then the other one is hearing those testimonials and having folks. We tend to do a lot of in-person events. We have another one tomorrow with Google. I'm actually flying out to San Jose in the next couple hours, and having people come up to you and tell you their story about how they changed the past 6 months, 3 months, based on the trainings that you provided or the solutions you provided them, and how they were able to grow their company and their employee base. Those little stories are the ones that make me feel that at the end of the day, the number's nice. We're here to make money. We get it, but it's the humanistic. We're a community here. We have to work together. We
Yeah.
have to grow together. We can't leave each other behind. This is not a dog eat dog world if you don't need it to be. And then that gets us going and gets me fired up in the morning. Makes me want to wake up at 5:30. And what's next? What's the next problem we're going to tackle? And so those experiences really color my outlook. And what's really cool about working with like the Amazons of the world, because in that piece, I do a lot of consultation. It's the scale. These tech companies like Google and Meta and TikTok and Amazon, they help you think in scale, which is something we as humans, I don't think we don't know what exponential growth is. We're used to incremental growth. And they're like, okay, you did it for 100. How do you do it for 1,000? Okay, you did it for 1,000. How do you do it for 100,000? What about 1,000,000? What changed operationally? And once you start thinking in that manner, you start realizing this is not as hard as I thought it would be. I just need to create a great operational structure to get me to scale that way. And you could work backwards. And that has really changed the way I saw my impact, because while I did connect with 500 businesses, those numbers have grown exponentially because of our ability, like a Zoom, like a podcast. Mark, you're having an impact right now. The past 8 years, you reached hundreds of thousands of folks through your podcast. So you know the scalability of a platform like this, and you know that you are making a change, even if it's a nominal change, not just in your home country, but across the world when the folks plug in and listen to you speak.
Yeah. It's thank you for that acknowledgement. It's what I think like I've learned with my podcast and all equally with my businesses as well is the first day you sometimes you like you don't know what you're doing, right? So day one, like you're just like, sometimes you're like trying things and you're testing things and you're seeing what works and you see what, and then you tag onto an idea and then you develop that idea and then you build something. And that idea of sort of growth and scale, I think, is something that some small businesses don't always grasp. And you've proved that you based your business around small businesses, about your community, but you're now reaching just so many people with these partnerships that you're working with. And I think, as you say, like sometimes you just have to pay your dues and you just have to take your time to be able to establish your business and get the foundations right to then be able to hit growth and scale stage. So I think you're an absolute testimony of starting at day one. Yeah, I suppose something's just come to me, like, what did day one look like for you?
Yeah. No, it's scary. I think it is extremely scary. I remember I was very comfortable corporate. I have a very fun, he's an artist. Those left hemisphere folks, that the artists in the world are just, they really understand something that I'm more linear thinker. And he said, sometimes you have to jump before you're ready or you'll never jump. And that really hit home. I'm jumping. And as long as you have your North Star of the reason why, I think it makes it a little bit easier. But man, uh, that first day was really rough because it's you're in the deep end and you're going in the deep end and you're investing all your investment, all the money that you saved up because you believe.
Why have you got emotional?
I just think about my parents. I think about I service a lot of low income communities and they really believe. And I just want to be part of their journey.
And you are a testament of helping those people. We've talked about it all through this episode. You should be incredibly proud of yourself, of what you've achieved.
Yeah, it's them, not me. I'm just a catalyst for their growth, but they're the ones doing it. It's really jarring to see how brave they are on their first and how they're resilient and they don't give up. And so I'm just lucky to be part of their journey.
Yeah, and you're doing a fantastic job working with these communities, working with these people. It's not like even community is too big. You're working with individual companies.
That's
Do you know, like sometimes we talk about like you go from individual to community and then to state and then to country or whatever your setup is. You're on the ground working with these companies, and I think it's a testament that you pivoted your business from the safe corporate gigs to working with these companies. It's an absolute testimony of you as a person, not just you as a business owner.
Yeah, and it's a blessing to be able to work with these folks, and it's important not to lose focus on just how much they care and how much they're giving their blood and their sweat every day. And I just that gets me jazzed up, and that gets me emotional, and that gets me
Yeah.
fired up, and I will fight. And I'll find partners, like you said, tech partners that will believe in that mission because these guys, they need it. And we talked about it a bit earlier with the government and investing into our entrepreneurial base. That's what makes this world so powerful. These folks are just giving their blood, sweat, and tears to really create a difference in their city, their neighborhood. And I'm just so lucky, so blessed to be part of their journey.
Well done. How do you think you've evolved as a leader?
Oh, sir, get your ego out the way. What's the expression? Ego is not your amigo. It's
Yeah,
really,
drop the ego. Yeah.
I think that's number one, number two, number three thing it's not about you, it's about the other. And I used to have a very strong model when I first started, which was it is through the service of others that I serve myself. And so, really honing in on that piece and not taking it personal, not making it about yourself, really trying to understand their lens and what they're coming from, what perspective they're coming from. Because sometimes I could be pigeonholed as, oh, you're highly educated, you went 10 years of schooling and blah blah blah, and you have to turn that off, and you're just like, no, like I'm a human, let me understand from their perspective, let me see, let me have empathy from what they're starting from and seeing it from their lens and maybe why they're afraid or why they don't want to adopt and adapt these tools, and letting that ego on the door and saying, I'm here with you through this journey. I think that is a really difficult thing to do sometimes because we tend to know the answer, or we think we know the answer, and sometimes you just got to listen and ask why and how, and just be more inquisitive and ask deeper probing questions than try to give a solution. I think they know the solution. It's just maybe there's other things that are stopping them from answering those questions, and it's fear most of the time, as you mentioned a little bit earlier. And so getting rid of that ego, which is a struggle. It's just tough because, especially as you start succeeding, it could blind you. Success can blind you and make you think that you made it all by yourself. In reality, it was a whole network of folks lifting you up. So, yeah, getting rid of that ego has really changed the way I lead. I think you have to learn how to follow, which is a really weird idea when I first started becoming an entrepreneur, and I thought I was going to be the boss and what I say goes. And no, that's not how it works. You work for them. You work for your employees, and you want to make sure you serve them and you take care of them. And you work for your customers now, and you actually have more bosses than you ever did before. And so it was a real
Yeah.
eye-opening experience.
Look, we're coming to the end of the interview. I ask the same 6 questions to all of my guests. They're quick fire questions. They don't need a quick fire answer. I've been told of me being a little bit thought provoking. So, first question is, what's the best decision that you've made?
Yeah, I think it was saying yes to the LA Optimized program for the city. We had a quarter, $25,000. We raised $250,000. We didn't know if we were going to be able to pull it off, and a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of hours. But we thought that the mission was worth the investment. So I think that was the best business decision I've ever made.
What's the best piece of advice you've been given?
That's a tough one. Understand your why. I think if you have a good sense of why you exist, why you're here in this world, that makes everything a little bit easier because you have your North Star that you're driving towards.
Who's the person that's helped you most in your career?
It's a fellow entrepreneur. He's a peer mentor of mine. He did everything. He was the mayor of a city. He launched his company very young, early on. He knows how to manage his capital. He knows how to reinvest. His name's Fernando, and it's always a treat to spend time with him because he just sees the world differently. I think I'm an entrepreneur. The guy sees the world, and he knows how to take calculated risks and knows when to go all in and know when to hold back. It's a real treat to be around him professionally.
Yeah, amazing. Tell me about a regret that you have.
I have a lot. I have a lot of regrets. I think I should have started this road a little bit sooner. I think I was very comfortable. They call it the golden handcuffs when you're in corporate. And I wish I would have realized this a little bit sooner that my true calling is to serve others, not through government, but as a entrepreneur.
Brilliant. Was there a time that you wanted to give up and what pulled you to carry on?
I think we lost a major contract, a seven-figure contract. And it wasn't that I wanted to give up. It was just that it was a lot of things happening at the same time where we were really riding high and we were doing great with contracting and getting a lot of wins. And that experience humbled me very quickly. It made me realize, hey, nothing is given. Like you have to work every day. You have to like give your best as best you can every day. And that really it made me realize that your perception of a safety net is non-existent professionally when it comes to the business, that within a second it could be taken out. So it helped me realize you have to deleverage your risk. Like it's all about deleveraging that risk and realizing how you can a larger runway or a bigger what we call operational cash flow for me. And so I took that lesson
Nice.
to heart. Okay, we're never going to be put in that position again because it was really tough.
Yeah. And it's a really good point that you made because I think when everything's riding high and you're going well, and someone explained to me that there's usually four stages of business. So there's startup, you then go into a growth phase. Basically, you start up, you get some sort of traction, you then get growth, you then plateau, and then you have to then re-innovate to be
Yeah.
able to start to go to the next level. And it was something really interesting, and you mention it when you give me that idea of that you lost a contract and you had to start thinking about how you think about the business and where you go on from there. Do you think that those experiences have aided you as not just as a business owner, but as an employee, as a like with your family and things like that? It does have a wider impact onto you, rather always not
Yeah.
always just on the business sense as employees and family.
I know no one that can turn it off and turn it on. Who you are is who you are across the board. And I think those humbling experiences make you reassess what really matters in life and hold your loved ones a little bit tighter and your friends and your family. And hey, you know what? This can end tomorrow, but I have a strong foundation regardless. And I think that was what that experience also taught me. And I think if I could give any advice to folks, it's operationally crossing that chasm. It's all operations. It's 99.999 operations. It's you moving yourself out of the middle, creating processes and procedures that allows a company to run without you. And if you're able to do that, then you'll go from 5 million to 10 million to 15 to 20 and to as high as you want to go until you hit the next tranche. But yeah, for me, it's operations 101 and really understanding
Yeah,
almost every aspect of your business and pouring as much water into that bucket and seeing how many holes that bucket has continuously. It's tiring, but that losing that contract is exactly what happened. I started pouring more and more water into the bucket. Where are those holes? Where do I plug up? How do I make this run more efficiently? And then you do an assessment with the folks that keep you grounded as a family member, your loved one, your significant other, and your friends and your family. And you're just like, hey, everything's good. And they, family and friends have always held me upright and make sure that I don't deviate from the mission here, regardless of what happens with the
yeah,
company.
yeah. Amazing. Tell me something that most people don't know about you.
Uh, I love traveling, so like 65 countries. I used to go out and do volunteer work in South America, Central America. I'm going to Ireland in a couple months. I'm super excited about that. But yeah, the
Amazing.
travel piece, I met five heads of state before 30, which was a big deal for me at the time. I could make 3 minute
Yeah.
cookies in two. I'm more of a baker than a cooker. So if you guys ever want some really great carrot cake and I'm in your country, reach out to me. I got the best carrot cake recipe from scratch.
Amazing. What does legacy mean to you?
You know what? I think that's the ego talking again. I think legacy is ego driven. I think I just want to create a strong foundation for the next generation. If I can do my work now, I don't know what happens after this. I'm more worried about what I can do while I'm here. After I'm gone, good luck to the rest of the world. And I did the best I could.
Yeah, amazing. And lastly, where can people find you if they want to find out more about you or your business?
Yeah, they could go to Braven Agency. My email is Robert at Braven Agency. It's not hard to find me. I'm on all socials. On LinkedIn, if you want to follow me. We have a new company called Smarts AI. You guys could look it up. It's a AI business consulting AI tool. But shoot me an email, Robert at bravenagency.com, and I'll make sure to respond.
Thank you, Roberto. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been an
Yeah.
absolute pleasure speaking to you, and thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Mark, for your time. Appreciate you.